Good morning. Happy Wednesday. This is What to Do Wednesday. Thank you for tuning back. My name is Garrett Gray,
I'm Candy Thompson
and we got a lot to talk about today for the second time.
for the take two. Yeah. So first of all, what you don't know is Garrett didn't steal my seat. We just tried to change things up. So I kind of like this seat. So we
Well,
thought we're gonna
I've
change
always
it
been
up.
told girls have their, better side, right? There's not the
Yeah.
support proportion,
Yeah.
and you have found your better side.
I found myself
That's
on my
it.
side. Yes. So what you do not know is that we've already done this. So we actually filmed our
We're from the
whole
future.
podcast. Yes, that's right. We filmed our whole podcast and went to edit it. And there's something very novel about turning on the microphone. And we didn't. So we have a really great 27-minute podcast with not 1 ounce of noise,
It's
not one sound.
it's B-roll. It's okay.
Yeah, no,
We'll
it's
figure
great.
something to do with
It's
it.
great. Yeah. It's really good. So anyway, welcome back to What to Do Wednesdays. Thank you for joining us again. We are very excited. So there's kind of a big deal going on in our community, and we're going to talk about it. So I wanted to preface this with because we realize that not all of our viewers are just in Amador County, so we do like to give a big picture of what this looks like. So for those of you tuning in from afar, our small community has one school district. So under the umbrella of our one school district, we have two high schools. And I mean, I want you to understand, like, we have like 40,000 people in our entire county. So this isn't like we have this huge area where we require two high schools. We've just always had two high schools.
Right.
So we have two high schools, which of course you can imagine are rival high schools. We have two junior highs, 6 elementary schools, and a continuation adult education school. So in our community, there has always been an ongoing
Feud.
rivalry, an ongoing rivalry between Argonaut, which is the high school that's located in Jackson, and Amador, which is the high school that's located in Sutter Creek, which is literally 5 minutes away from Jackson.
Unless you hit a light, then it's 10.
No.
Those
Yeah,
lights
the
are
lights will
long.
slow you down. Yeah,
I
no, they will.
swear.
Yeah. Or okay, I'm gonna just rabbit trail really
Yeah.
quickly. So when I was in high school, there were no stoplights in this
Yeah,
entire
there's all
town.
stop signs.
Stop signs, yeah. And it was hilarious. Our history teacher, when I was in high school, he took us down. The very first stoplight in Amador County was in Sutter Hill, and it used to be called Sutter Hill. And that one was so for our class, we went down for the lighting of the first stoplight in Amador County. And that was hilarious to watch people though, especially when the one came in Jackson. Like people didn't know what to do.
Well, people have been
So
in this county for years, so it was
it
all
was
new to them at that
hilarious.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be green and they'd be sitting there. You're like, no, this is when you go. It was hilarious. And I mean, I was a young driver, so like I had driven all over. I drove to Wyoming 10 days after I turned 16. So like I was very well versed in stoplights, but the county was not. It took us a little bit to adjust, and now we're very good pros at it, you guys.
No, I'm not. I still keep running the one over on 88 in Pine Grove. I still think it's a stop sign. I'll pull up, I'll look at the Pine Grove market, I look left, look right, and just go. And I'll be like, it's been a light for the last 12 years.
Yeah. So I'm sorry for that segue,
Yeah, it's okay.
but it is so it did take Amador County a little bit of getting used to the stoplights, and now we think they're just a little too long. So anyway, we do every year we have big games. So the big game in Amador County is when our two rival teams play each other, and they play each other twice a season, whatever the sport is.
We're talking about basketball.
Football's one time. Adam's correcting me.
Unless you're in playoffs.
Football we played
Playoffs.
one time.
Talk about playoffs?
And so,
Sorry.
okay, so it's either one, you're right, because
But-
one year
but-
it'll be at
but-
Amador and one year it'll
But
be at
basketball,
Argonaut.
100% of the
Yeah.
time, it'll always be
Yes.
twice in the
Yes.
season.
We play once there and once here. So once,
So
and
we
I
just
say here because
played-
we're in
We
Jackson.
just played Friday.
Yes, at Amador, and it's a big deal. Like it's a super fun, exciting thing. And we used to have it be where girls play away, boys play at home, or
Right.
vice versa.
Right.
But because the big game is such a huge deal, a couple of years ago, by way of being on the school board, we were able to change that and make all the games happen in one day for the big game. That way families don't have to be split and everybody gets to be in one gym. So it is a really big deal in our community. Super, super fun.
Well, there was also a stint there for a while that the girls' basketball was a little bit better than the boys' basketball. So,
Of course.
and then it flips every once in a while. But
Yeah.
like a couple years, for the last couple years, girls'
Yeah.
basketball was
Yeah.
better to watch.
It was amazing.
You know, they went
Yeah.
to what? I mean,
Yeah.
caveat
Yeah.
about this, the state and all that for a couple times. But
Yes.
anyways,
It was
continue.
awesome. Yes. So, anyway, it is the varsity boys basketball game, and actually even the girls varsity basketball game, because to let you know, last year Argonaut girls had beat the Amador girls team for probably, was it 32 games? I'm not exactly, I'm close, but
A
I'm
lot of
probably not.
games.
Yeah. It was 30 something games in a row that Argonaut had beat the Amador girls. And last year, the Amador girls beat the Argonaut girls both times.
Mhm.
So at home and away, they actually, the Amador girls were the division champs last year. It was very, very exciting. It's fun to watch when those transitions happen. And so this coming together was also going to be a very big deal for the girls, not just the boys. Now, so Adam and I actually are very involved in the youth basketball program in Amador County. We love it so, so much. And so we have littles that get to start playing in pre-K, and it goes all the way up to 8th grade. As the, as being a part of that, our youth basketball program, we invite the current basketball players from both high schools to be refs. So they have a job, they ref for 9 weeks. It's really awesome. They can do it from freshman year to senior year. My girls did it. And then those who played Amador youth basketball, refed, and were always involved, they have the potential of getting a scholarship when they graduate too. So Amador community, the Amador youth basketball program is 100% just community led. And so very exciting. But as a result of that, Adam and I are very well acquainted with both teams. So we love the players from Amador. We love the players from Argonaut. They're such great kids on both sides, and really good groups of guys and good groups of girls. 100% competitive. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always a little bit messes with your brain a little bit when you come together to play the rival team.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people, so they've probably gone to junior high together,
Mhm.
and then split up because based on where you live, you may have to go to Amador, you might have to go to Argonaut. So generally, these people, they're friends of yours, and then you're coming together in a competitive game.
Right.
So Friday night, we had the big game at Amador. Girls JV and girls had already played. Now we're coming to the varsity boys game. And I was not able to be there, but thanks to Huddle Fan, we could watch the whole game. So if you haven't seen it, go on Huddle Fan and download it to your phone. You can watch the whole game. So it very, very intense, very, very competitive game, very close. I mean,
back and forth from
back and forth. It was like 30-31. It was back and forth almost till the very end of the game. But of course, very contentious. You could tell from the very beginning it was pretty contentious. And the vantage point of watching it from Huddle Fan is that you get to see everything. When you're there, you don't really. You're paying attention to one thing, or you're talking to someone, or whatever it was. So it was kind of crazy to watch, like, some of the players like punking up on this other kid. And I mean, it was pretty much from kind of the beginning. Punking up. Yeah, like this, like that. That's like how you punk up. Like, yeah. So like listen, so they're like doing this. So they're like walking like this, and this player's right here, and they like push him, and he goes into another one of their players, and so they punked up on him. Yeah, they punked up on him like this.
I'm trying to think of the word I would use, but I don't think I'd say punking up.
Come on. Well, wait. I'm not saying punkin up. I'm not saying pumpkin. I'm saying
pumpkin.
Punk.
Punk up.
There's pumpkin, punk, apostrophe N, punk.
All right. Anyways, so another kid puffed up on the other one.
He didn't puff up. They literally pushed him.
Okay, so now was this Amador to an Argonaut guy, or?
2 Amador guys. Okay. There was one Argonaut player who had scored 3 threes in a row. Sunk up.
Fire.
3 down, right? So I mean, like, it's like, you're like mad at this kid, right? So it's a timeout or something, and the kid's standing here, and these two Amador players are like walking kind of shoulder to shoulder, and they like their bodies like push him into another player who he doesn't even know is there. He hits this player, and you know basketball. I mean, you're taught when I played, and I want you to know, I played from junior high up, so I played these big games. I understand the rivalry. I understand how the contention and the emotion that goes into it. And I understand that we were taught to Hollywood. When I was little, it was called Hollywood. Like if they hit you, go big, right? Like if they so and now you flop, right? And so
With why you thought.
it's all like way exaggerated. So when this kid was hit by this Argonaut player, it was I mean no doubt he was hit, but I think he might have maybe Hollywooded it up a little bit. Yeah. And it was like, oh my, but he didn't see what had transpired before. Right. So he legit like thought that this Amador kid just ran straight in, or this Argonaut kid just ran straight into him. Yeah. So that was like the first thing. And then, but you could tell, I mean, like throughout the game, like you could tell that they were like patting each other. Like if they ran into each other, they were like, and there were a couple of players on both sides that you could tell were, they were pretty heated up. The coaches were pretty heated up. I mean, it was a pretty crazy situation. And so you get through to the very end of the game, and you can see that again, it's kind of like there's a contentious moment. I think there's 24 seconds left in the game. Yeah. And there's this moment where like an Amador player does kind of push another Argonaut player, and at that time it's on. Like the whole Amador bench leaves, they run to the aid. A couple of Argonaut players leave the bench, and for those of you that don't understand, you don't leave the bench. You can get in so much trouble for leaving the bench. So they left the bench, and so it was like crazy. Listen, I'm not as old as Garrett makes me out to be, but I have been around for a long time, and I've never seen that happen at an Amador Argonaut game. Now, I want you to know, I've seen ridiculous stuff, and I've seen very disrespectful stuff. I've seen crazy stuff, but I've never seen this. And
benches clear.
Benches clear. You watch the superintendent come running across the court. You watch a parent of one of the kids come running this way. I mean, it was crazy. And the funnest thing to do watching it on Huddle Fan is that you get to keep rewinding it. So it was. You're like, wait, I didn't see that part. Let me look. And you get to slow play it. And so anyway, big deal in Amador County. This is not something that's ever happened before. The talk is in the town. Yeah. And so this morning there was a statement released from the superintendent, who is the superintendent over both schools, who was there. He watched the game, and he actually graduated from Argonaut, but used to be a principal at Amador. Yeah. And so, I mean, we're all kind of connected here, little small town, right? And so he used to play in the big games. I mean, he's been a part of these for a long time too. And so he just gave, just a statement stating that he is very, very disappointed in what transpired on Friday night, that the actions have been taken that were necessary to be taken. When it comes to school district, you can't share what discipline has happened for kids. Mm-hmm. And that's always so frustrating for parents, right? That kid was bullying mine. What happened to them? What punishment did they get? But you can't say because that's confidential.
Right. Your star fell down.
I put a lot of stars.
There's it's that too, but they also have to follow through the CIF rules, right? Like at some points their hands are tied, and the CIF has to kind of dictate what they're going to punish downwards.
100%.
And then they're gonna have to go from there. So I don't know is the fact that they can release it, but they don't know is the whole ordeal. I mean, they should know, right? But like they probably don't know the whole extent until it's actually given to the students, I would assume.
Well, and I think that you can, so being at the game and then talking to, watching it transpire, and then being able to watch the film also, being able to go back and actually watch what happened so that you can specifically see how it went down.
There's a part of the Huddle film that blocks out after a point that it starts,
somebody's head.
Yeah.
Somebody stands
so it all starts and then somebody stands up. So you really can't see everybody that left and got off the benches too.
Yeah. And you're like, who's he? Yeah. Scoot him aside.
So they told you what the actual punishments were?
No, they just said that they have taken immediate action. If you watched the game last night, that there was an Argonaut game last night at home. Mm-hmm. and two of the starters did not start, and
So
those were, I believe, two of the ones that left the bench.
from what I was told, the punishment was any player that stepped off the bench and
Mm-hmm.
onto the court got 1 game suspension.
Yeah.
Blanketed,
Yeah.
just everybody. We're just gonna say
Yes.
if you even took one
Mm-hmm.
pinky toe over
Yeah.
the line, you're getting a 1 game suspension.
It's no joke. And they have to do it that way.
Right.
And
Oh, I
I
agree.
100% agree. But the kids know that. The players know that.
Yeah.
It's just it's across the board. It's a CIF, California Interscholastic Federation. It's a CIF thing. And so we weren't sure what was going to happen once you watched it. Like, I wasn't really sure, and I mean, so that was Friday night. And so Saturday, Adam and I go to, all these gyms where all these kids are rapping, like,
Yeah.
and something went down. I hadn't actually seen the game yet. But you're like, hey, how'd that game
Well,
go
you heard
last
about, I
night?
mean, everybody heard about. I heard about it.
Yeah.
I think that night, my phone
Oh,
was
yeah.
blowing up from
Yes,
teachers like,
yes.
"You guys, you missed it. You should have been here." And I was like,
Yeah.
"No, thank you. I deal with that kind of stuff
Yeah.
enough. I don't need."
I
to
really wanted to go. I don't know why I didn't go. I was so excited to go because we know the players on both
Yeah.
teams, and it was going to be so much fun to watch them. And it's the big game. Come
Of
on.
course, yeah.
So I don't know what transpired to where Adam had to be gone he had an appointment, and
Always
so
Adam's
anyway,
fault.
it was we ended up, it was too late and we didn't end up going. But
Yeah, well.
but Huddle Fan is our biggest friend, and so
See,
anyway,
yeah.
kind of a big deal in Amador County to have this, not just contention, but have it to reach this level. And so Jared,
Yeah.
basically, the superintendent, was basically saying that, that this is not acceptable in our community, that we foster, growth and positive interactions, and just that we want our community to be supportive, and we don't ever want to allow or have it get to this point with teams.
Games and sports in high school level. I think it's just a point to where they're seeing a lot of the, there's always role models at different points, right? You have the little guys that look up to the high schoolers look up to the college athletes to the, the major professional sports, or even high school sports.
Yeah.
But there's some professionals out there that just, I think that people gravitate towards, that have bad character, and they want to be cool too. So when they do big threes, it's just a big three, and then it's some sort of showboating that has to happen, right? It's not just little stuff that used to be, or your stand's just going crazy for you, so then it just keeps driving up anger and like, oh, I'm going to get him back. To where kids this age, they don't understand how to deal with those temperaments besides, I'm just going to be aggressive.
Right,
and
right.
Maybe don't be aggressive. Maybe just be better at the game and go make your shots and play better defense, right? But they just get so aggressive.
It's true, and to be honest with you, it generally comes from the coach. Usually it is a coaching situation that either they're watching the coach behave in a similar way, or the contention has been approved by the coach in some way. It may not be like, hey, I approve what you're doing, but like maybe, interactions. Right.
Well, there's a thing too. It doesn't have to be approved by the coach, but without someone shutting something down immediately, right? Every single kid that I possibly know, it all starts with little things. They're going to take a little step. They don't get caught. Okay, I didn't get caught, so I'm going to take a little bit bigger step. Oh, I didn't get caught again. And then it just automatically escalates to the worst.
Yeah.
That's why you got to be so strict on things right at the beginning. And that's why what I do at the school, I'm strict on things, right at the beginning. I don't care what it is, because I know that you're getting away with that, there's a bigger thing you're going to try to get away with, and then it's going to be a more problem for me. I'm not worried about really the kids. I'm just worried about me having to do paper. Let's just be honest. That just is infuriating when I could just stop them from the beginning.
Yes. No, you're right. And that's one thing, being a parent and having watched. So my girls played. It's funny because when you do their measurements, I'm sorry, I'm going to cough. Yeah, I've always been told that when kids are 2, if you take their measurement and you double their height, it tells you how much how tall they're gonna be. Hold on, I'm choking. Thank you, Garrett. That has never helped in history.
But it has to me. I've choked twice on mozzarella sticks, and my dad came up and gave me one of the boom. He's like, I got another ready. Can you breathe? If you don't say hi in the next 5 seconds, I'm bringing another right hand to the back, and it worked.
Okay, so
middle of Vegas, it was not a good deal. Yeah, he gets so worried, just a real rabbit hole. So worried when me and my sister eat just the mozzarella cheese sticks. That's all it is. He's like, Are you guys able to eat that? I know you're grown adults now, but can you eat that?
Oh, he has PTSD from the mozzarella stick. Yeah. So I don't know if you're aware, but I didn't eat anything.
Oh,
Yeah, I just actually had a cough. Thank you for your concern and
So
your mozzarella reaction. Thank you.
I'm here for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I appreciate that. I
I'm
appreciate it.
here as a person trying to be a hero and save lives.
Yes,
That's all I do. One
yes.
life at a time.
So back to lives. So 2 years old, you do their measurement,
Uh-huh.
double it. My girls, it said they were going to be 6 foot. And I was like, well, clearly that's wrong, right? I'm 5'9", Adam's 6'1". Like my girls are 5'11" and a half. So we were very excited because
Pretty
we're a big
close.
basketball family, right? So the girls played basketball all through this. It was super fun. I mean, being a part of this and the emotions and all, it's just a very exciting thing, but it it's generally falls on what the coaches will allow.
Yeah.
Now I know I was coached by like Mr. White, who is the great in this area, and then it went to the Cabreys and the Roots, and they're all the greats in this area. And so I knew that if he ever watched a word leave our mouth to another player, we'd have had
Benched.
to sit. Yep.
I
Ever.
don't think they do that a lot anymore.
Also,
Benching.
technical
Not a lot
foul.
of
If
benching.
we ever got a technical foul in a game, we would be suspended for the next game from
Mhm.
our coach. And that was, we knew, man, we did not mess with Mr. White. You knew. So,
Yeah.
so we played legal and we played and we kept our mouths shut. And as a result of that, it actually helped us to nobody could get in our brain
Yeah.
because we weren't talking, right? There was a lot of talking in the Amador game on Friday night. You could see a lot of talking happening.
Oh yeah.
And I should say the Amador Argonaut game. It was just because it was at Amador. But it was it's an exciting thing for a small community, but it's also something that at the end of the game, like you still want these people to be friends. Like
Well, it's
you
going to
still
get
want
talked about forever, man.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
happens in a small community. Then it just gravitates, and
Yeah.
then people start putting their input and their opinions, and then it hurts other people's mentality of like whatever they did or didn't do, and
Mhm.
sometimes just leave it alone. It happened. Let it die now. It happened. We don't need to start dragging
Yes,
names to the
yes.
dirt or
Right,
being
right,
rude
right.
or being
Yeah,
disrespectful.
yeah.
Just it was kids that were hyped
It
up.
was
They were they're being
yes,
competitive.
yes.
They got a little too overzealous, and
Yes.
now it's
And both
over.
teams did such a great job.
Yeah.
Like they really did. They were both doing such a great job. I mean, it was very close on both sides. I mean, I was really proud of both
Yeah.
teams. I thought it was fun. I mean, it was unfortunate that it ended like this, but I get it. I mean, I made some moves in court that I wasn't very proud of that the ref never saw. So but I think that it's something that with Jared's statement this morning, I feel like that's kind of the closure of it.
Yeah.
Like that the district has now responded to it's calling an altercation, the Amador Argonaut varsity boys altercation is what they called it. And he made a statement. And so anyway, we just wanted to talk about that because
Yeah.
while
We'll
we
bring
have
up
our
the
little
local stuff.
podcast, yeah, local, we talked about fires, we talked about the election. Like we're just going to talk about the stuff that means something to us, right?
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which the next thing that means something to us is
Yeah.
real estate.
It does. We love real estate.
We do
Yes.
love real estate.
Yes.
Which we wanted to bring up some statistics to you guys that we
Yes.
were looking up, and it's kind of just giving you guys insight to look for. I would look forward to this year, right? I think inventory is
Yes.
growing. We actually went through and looked at some inventory that we had going on through just our county alone. I mean, from last year to this year, already being a difference in my eyes, but having the worst year in the last 35 years.
Yeah.
And I think it was due to high interest rates and high prices.
Mhm.
But it also was doing, I think, into a little bit of a low inventory because people were afraid to put their houses
That's
on,
right.
on the market because they didn't know if it was going to sit, right? And I don't know if you've...
And also, people are not willing to give up their 2% interest.
Well, there's that
rates.
too, right?
Yeah.
But also, they don't know if their house is going to be moved on in the next 6
Yeah.
months. So they're like, do I get packed up? Do I move? What do I do, right? So
Right, right.
I know you looked up some numbers for us.
We did because I thought it was interesting. I wanted to see, here it is, the end of January.
Yeah.
December, Thanksgiving to New Year's is always a very slow time in real estate, no matter where you are. A lot of things close, but usually not. So a lot of people will put their homes on hold during that time just to not get days on market accumulated. But so I was just looking up like how many homes are currently active in our community.
Mhm.
So in our community, Amador County is a compilation of a bunch of little towns all put together. And so that's why we refer to it as Amador County because it's kind of the big picture.
Yeah.
So I found that in Jackson, as of Monday, 34 homes were currently on the market. 26 were active and 8 were pending. So that I thought that was pretty good. That's some pretty good inventory, right?
Mhm.
Um, Ione had 17 homes on the market, 15 active, 2 pending. Um, Pine Grove, which is about 8 minutes up from Jackson, has 19 homes on the market, 16 active, 3 pending. And then Pioneer is further up. So Pioneer is kind of above the snow line. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Let me tell you about Sutter Creek first. Sutter Creek is about probably what 5 to 8 minutes away
That's where
from here.
Amador's
Yeah,
at.
that's where Amador's at. So Sutter Creek had 22 homes on the market. So
Wow.
18 active, 4 pending. Plymouth has 15 on the market, 14 active, 1 pending, which Plymouth also has a brand new casino being built over there.
And I think a new subdivision too.
Oh yeah.
And you have no subdivision.
And then Pioneer blew my mind.
Yeah, this is a big
Pioneer
one.
has 55 listings
Wow.
currently. I could not believe that. So they have 49 active and 6 pending.
You know,
55
you see a
listings.
swing in it, and I've noticed it too. Is when Pioneer is high in inventory, Ione usually starts becoming lower in inventory because I think a lot of the Pioneer people that first move up to the
Mm,
county, you want the trees, you want the mountain feel, right?
hmm
And then they get there and they see how much snow happens sometimes,
Yeah.
and then they'll move down to Ione. But they'll
Yeah.
get the gist of where they want to go
Yeah.
because in my understanding, and correct me if you see anything different or my not understanding, but my kind of insight was Ione Cedar Creek is probably the more expensive places in Amador County. And then as it goes up the hill, it becomes kind of more inventory but cheaper homes.
Yeah.
Right? Pioneer is probably a cheaper place to live, but it's also not as cheap because you have higher fire insurance.
hmm
Right? So it's like the differences I think in the
hmm
two. Ione, you're not going to get as much snow. You're going to get a little bit more bay weather area, I would say, is in
Yeah.
like the fog that comes in, and then it'll be hot in the summers.
hmm
Pioneer will be amazing at that time, but then the winters happen,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you have a little bit of rain in Ione, nice and cool weathers, but it's super cold up in
Yeah.
Pioneer.
Very true. And it is a drastic elevation change. So I mean
True.
we are Amador County sits, we always describe it as halfway between Sacramento and South Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
So we're definitely the foothills. And so yeah, I mean you can go from here to snow territory in 25 minutes. And so Pioneer, I always say you get more house for your money in Pioneer. Not everybody wants to live above the snow line. You're not as close to shopping. There's
No.
elementary school, but you're gonna drive for pretty much whatever you want to do. Schools, entertainment, shopping, that sort of thing. Jackson historically has always been one of the higher, so it has always been Jackson and Sutter Creek that were the highest in the county.
Yeah.
And then a ton of housing developments came into Ione,
Mm-hmm.
which significantly impacted that. Ione is a huge bedroom community, a ton of homes. The majority of people commuting out of town to work.
Yeah, Lodi, Stockton,
hmm
Sacramento, or further.
hmm
So
And then we've got, and now Plymouth has always been, Plymouth is kind of like the gateway to the wineries. And so we have a ton of,
yeah, Shenandoah
ton of
Valley, we have a
wineries.
ton of wineries out there.
hmm
I wish I actually knew the specific number, but I know there's a good amount out
Yeah.
there for sure.
And they've done incredible. I mean, they started years ago and now they're huge. And when people, if a winery is selling, it's actually Napa Valley that is buying those
Mhm.
wineries. So really have done very well for themselves. We do have a lot of local wines, and in Plymouth, though, historically has never been a very high real estate area
No.
until a couple of years ago. They
It's
built
all more ranch land too.
well, and they
That's why.
started a development.
Yeah.
They started a development that the developer said that these are going to be $1 million homes, and everyone in the county thought he was crazy. They're going into phase 3 of their $1 million homes. They are stunning, and they are selling every single one of them.
Yeah.
So the area is growing. So
Yeah.
it's definitely changing, and kind of what our original thoughts on where prices are and stuff. I mean,
That's really good.
you're buying $1 million homes in Plymouth. You're buying $1 million homes in Pioneer. I mean, and then all the way down to the 250s and
280s, I'd
300s.
say,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was looking up, so I like to use my AI, and when I have a question before I really gauge my idea, I kind of use the AI now to see if it pulls something up that was similar or
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
This one says right here, it says 2024 sale volume was 27% lower, indicating a significant decline over the past few years.
Is that in
And
Amador
that's what it was.
County?
That,
Or
no, that's just
statewide?
California.
Okay.
Just California wise, right? So I mean, but we kind of have to understand if people aren't moving or people aren't selling, then real estate's not actually transitioning or moving anywhere, because the houses will come up, they'll sit on market, and they won't go anywhere, and then they'll be off, and then they don't want to move because they've already went through 6 months. Right?
Yeah.
Are they going to do it again? So I would say this year looks pretty profitable in moving and growing and upgrading or even downsizing, because if we have that kind of inventory right now at the beginning of the year, which in Amador County alone, that was, I would say, probably 70 or more homes that are already open for
on
sale
the market.
on the market. That's a good amount to where if you want to downsize, you could be able to find something, do a contingent offer, and then have someone buy your home hopefully within that next 2 months.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And we so we do sales calls once a week for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Divine Properties, and we always have a lender who joins us on our sales calls. So once a week we're updated on kind of the bond market, what the interest rates look like, that sort of thing.
Cuts,
yes,
rates,
very interesting. And they did say that the bond market is actually standing strong.
Good.
But the feds, some, please know, we have the lender tell us this because we don't actually know all of it, but there is something that just has changed a little bit. Basically, they have stated that this current presidential administration is wanting the rates to come down. That is something that they've stated. We don't know how that's going to happen, but we do know that there are a lot of changes that are happening, and who knows how that's going to affect the rates. So we're waiting to see that.
And that's why you got to be here, so you can get that information straight from us.
Straight from our mouths. Yeah. Yes, but they also said that with whatever's happening with the rates right now, that you're probably going to start seeing interest rates for vehicles drop. They said you're probably going to start seeing like 1.6%, vehicles for the next 90-day type offers on vehicles coming up soon. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I'm not a new real estate car, so it's perfect.
Yes, there you go. Yes. Yeah. So anyway, with the inventory, if you're ready to sell, we're your forever agents. Yep. And if you're ready to buy, forever agents.
And so if you don't know where to start this February, we have a mastermind Zoom coming up for goal planning to get you in that mindset of what you need to do to be able to sell or buy your next home.
Yes. It's the greatest. It's a lifestyle planning guide, real estate lifestyle planning guide. Yeah. Want to know what you want to do? Let's talk about it. We actually have a whole course that we go through with you, and you get a 12-page worksheet or a workbook that you get to write down all of your goals and your plans, and we're going to guide you through the whole thing. And this is on February 19th, Wednesday night, February 19th. It's at 6 p.m. and it's going to be a Zoom. We are totally willing to do individual appointments.
Absolutely,
with you.
Yeah. We can do one-on-one sit downs and really dive into your stuff. This one's just kind of trying to put it out there, and if you can't leave your home or you're out of state or whatever, we're helping. But if you want in your local area and you want to drive up and we want to sit down, we can definitely go through it with you too.
And I want you to know, we do a private Zoom with you. So even if you live somewhere else, we can refer you to agents, and we're here to help you. So just kind of looking at, like, Berkshire Hathaway's done an amazing job with this real estate lifestyle planning guide. And so being able to walk through with you on this journey and help you see what is the best plan for you, what looks like now, later, smaller, bigger, whatever that looks like. So stay tuned. If you are interested in being a part of that, the Zoom link will be in our description. So definitely make sure that you click on that and register for that. Once you register for it, then we'll send you the workbook so you can have that printed out so you're all ready for the Zoom. But we'll be sharing more information about that. Also, stay tuned. Coming up in February, we're very excited for the next supervisor in our Getting to Know Your Supervisor series. So we're very excited to be bringing that to you. And 1 week in February, we will be on location. So we're very, very excited to be bringing all of these fun things to you, and the local events. We got to talk about the local events. So anything else, Mr. Garrett? How do you like your new spot?
I feel at home.
I knew he would. Yes. See, and he thought it's because I had a better side. It's because he was going to feel at home. Anyway, you guys, like us, subscribe to us, follow us, our YouTube page at WTDW little s. Email your questions to whattodowednesdays@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. We just want to give you a What to Do Wednesday disclaimer. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official stance of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services or Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Divine Properties or any affiliated entities. This podcast does not constitute legal, financial, or real estate advice, and listeners are encouraged to consult with qualified professionals regarding their specific needs. While we strive to provide accurate information, we make no guarantees regarding the completeness or reliability of any information discussed. We are not responsible for any actions taken by listeners based on the content in this podcast. Additionally, topics covered in the podcast are based on the host experience and opinions and may not apply to all situations. Listeners are reminded that real estate laws and regulations may vary by location and information may become outdated over time. By listening to this podcast, you agree to release the host, guests, and any associated entities from any liability related to the topics discussed.